Hey guys, welcome to Game 4 of my Escalation League at the Montreal Games Workshop. So this game's kind of special. It's against a Tomb King player, and I've been playing this game for 7 years, and I think I've faced Tomb Kings probably about 3 times. So it was kind of neat for me to see them on the table. So as always, I've got the Lore Master of Hoeth with the Book of Hoeth. Obviously, I think this guy is epic, and I'm actually trying to think of a name for him because I mean I use him in every game, and I think he's earned himself a name. So if anyone has any suggestions, let me know. And my opponent has a level 2 Lich Priest, and I don't know Tomb Kings all that well. So he had the number 4 spell, which I believe reduces your movement by D3. The number 6 spell, which is a magical vortex that does a strength 4 hit to everything it touches. And then he had the Banner of the Undying Legion on his Tomb Guard. So for this game, we're playing a special scenario. So the hill in the center is the objective, and if you have a unit within 6 inches of it at the end of the game, you win. If your opponent does not, if you both have units within 6 inches, then you draw. So, but it also gives a couple of abilities. So it gives you a magical spell, which I never bothered casting. So and neither did my opponent. So I don't remember what it was. And then it also gives you +1 power dice and a 3+ invulnerable save, or a 3+ ward save on your mage. So it makes my lore master, who I think is pretty awesome already, even that much better. So my opponent has, on the left, he's got 5 chariots, and he's got a 6 chariot with a Tomb Prince in there. The Tomb Prince has got a 4-up armor save, and he has a halberd. And then he's got 10 skeleton archers, 50 skeleton spearmen, and then a unit of 20 tomb guard with shields, and they've also got the Hierophant in there, and they've got the Banner of the Undying Legion. So as for my deployment, I have the 20 white lions with the banner of +1 movement in the center. Then I have my Noble, who has the Enchanted Shield and Dawnstone and a Lance on a regular playing Griffin, and he's also my BSB. Then I have 9 Silver Helms with Banner Musician, and I've got an Eagle. Obviously, my Lore Master is in the White Lion unit, and out of shot is a unit of 5 Illyrian Reavers. They're just to the right of that marsh. So I get first turn, and I march up my fast cav up the side of the board to essentially just to mess with his Tomb Guard and threaten their flank if he chooses to ignore them. I march up the white lines as quickly as possible, and I'm a little bit more tentative with my fast elements, so the Griffin, the Knights, and the Eagle. Because I don't want to fight those chariots right away. I don't want his chariots charging me, obviously. I want to fight them on my terms. So I'm going to hang back a bit for the first turn and let him come to me and, hope to get an optimal charge. So in the magic phase, I get the boosted version of Shem's Burning Gaze off. So this does 2d6 strength 6 hits against him because he is undead, and I actually really enjoy that lore attribute. My last game against demons, it also came in handy. So yeah, so I ended up taking off 2 chariots, which was pretty nice. So Tomb King's turn 1, and this is where I remember Tomb Kings can't march. So he moves up his entire battle line, but it's only 4 inches, so it barely looks like he moved. And then we go to the magic phase, and he tries to cast the Vortex on my fast cav, and he gets it with irresistible force and ends up killing 5 guys like that via the miscast. And then when he rolls to see where the Vortex goes, it lands on his unit and kills like another 5 or 6 guys. So this was extremely unlucky on my opponent's behalf. But yeah, it just sucks when your magic phase goes against you. So High Elves turn 2. I move the white lions on top of the hill because that's the objective, and that's where they're supposed to be. I march the fast cav around the building, so now they're in the flank of those Tomb Guard, and I keep my eagle and my knights pretty much in the same. Or I move my eagle up into the forest to block his chariots, and I keep my griffin and my knights in the same position. So the plan here is he's got to get rid of the eagle if he wants to go anywhere. So he's going to have to charge into the forest and risk taking dangerous terrain tests. And when he's most likely going to kill the eagle on the charge, but when he does so, all he can do is either overrun, but that's going to give me an easy flank charge, or he can just reform, which will give me an easy front charge with both those units. So my eagle's taking one for the team here. And in the magic phase, I get a 2d6 fireball off on these chariots, and I do another 2 wounds. So Tomb King's turn 2. So as expected, he's got to get rid of that eagle to do anything with those chariots, because otherwise I'm just going to fireball them for the rest of the game. So he charges into the forest, but luckily he doesn't take any dangerous terrain tests, or he doesn't fail any dangerous terrain. And he moves the rest of his battle line up, and he turns his Tomb Guard around to face my Reavers. So I mean, I think the Reavers are doing their job here. It seems like all they need to do is distract that unit so I can deal with the rest of his battle line, because I think his Tomb Guard, probably a decent matchup against my white lines. So if I can keep those two from fighting each other with the fast cav, that's great for me. So in the shooting phase, his skeleton archers put 2 wounds on my griffin. And as expected, the eagle takes one for the team and just dies from the impact hits. So High Elves turn 3. So he reformed his chariots, and I get an easy charge into the chariots with both my units. Now I lose 2 knights on the way in via dangerous terrain, but whatever. And then during the magic phase, I get the best magic phase. Literally, I have 4 buffs and 4 buffs and hexes, and then I also have 4 like magic missile type spells. So let's start on the top left. So I reduce his weapon skill by 2, and then I also get Ice Shard Blizzard off, which is -1 to hit. So he's only hitting me on 6s, regardless of what he's going to attack, which is great. I get Whiston's Wild Form off on the Griffin. So the Noble is now strength 7, and the Griffin is now strength 6, which should help out. And then I cast Earthblood on my White Lion unit. Now, I didn't really care about the Earthblood, but what it allowed me to do via the lore attribute is heal a wound on the Griffin, which was nice. And then I cast a small version of Shem's Burning Gaze, and I kill another 5 skeletons from the 50-man block. So then we go to combat. So he challenges with his prince, and I accept with my Griffin because I have to. And I do 2 wounds to him, and he does 1 wound to the rider. And then my knights kill 2 chariots outright, and he does no wounds back to them. So after crumbling, he's completely wiped out, and I just reform my 2 units as such. And I also didn't take a picture of it earlier, but my fast cav keep dancing around his Tomb Guard at the top of the screen. So Tomb King's turn 3. He charges his horde into my white lions, and I feel fine about that. Now I'm kind of happy that I gave them the 5-up regen. And he turns his Tomb Guard around to look at my fast cav, and I'm just loving it. Those fast cav, they don't have to kill anything the entire game. All they need to do is distract his Tomb Guard while I deal with the rest of his army. So we go to the combat phase. So if you've noticed, I haven't really been talking about my opponent's magic phases. It's because they've been terrible. He's gotten super unlucky on his dice rolls, and when he tries to cast a spell, it doesn't go through, or I'm able to dispel it. Like, he's rolling a lot of 5s and 1s or 4s and 1s. So I pretty much have always just 1 fewer dice. And with my reroll, I'm dispelling what he's casting. So combat, I end up killing 13 of his guys. And he does 7 wounds to me, which surprised me. I failed a lot of my saves, and I end up winning by a couple, and he crumbles a little bit more. But that's what's left of the unit. I think they're down to like 28. So High Elves turn 4. I take my 2 fast units, the Griffin and the Knights, and charge them into those skeletons, and I lose another knight to dangerous terrain. But I think at this point they're still pretty combat effective, and I don't need all of them against those skeletons. And I forget to move my fast cav, so they're kind of stuck there in front of those Tomb Guard, and those Tomb Guard are going to get some revenge next turn. So in the magic phase, I get Earthblood off on the White Lions, and I use that to heal a wound that the rider on the Griffin rider had previously taken. So that was a nice. I love that bonus. I mean, the regen spell is great, but the spell really synergizes with the Griffin because he's obviously gonna take wounds because he's toughness 5 and no armor save. But if you can I think I healed like 3 or 4 of his wounds this game via that attribute. And then I also I reduced the weapon skill of the Tomb Guard by 1, so it's not going to make any difference. It'll just mean that when he charges me, I'll be hitting him on 3s with the reroll instead of 4s with the reroll. So after fighting, I kill another 13 of those skeletons, and he does nothing to me, which I thought was pretty lucky. And after crumbling, he's down to 4 guys, so it's the command group and like 1 extra dude. And as expected, the Griffin and the Silver Helms make short work of the 10-man archer unit. So Tomb King's turn 4. So he charges his Tomb Guard into the Reavers. So I'm fine with that. It's I think at this point it's not going to affect the game that much. And he actually did get he actually had a successful magic phase, and he regrew 8 wounds via the Banner of the Undying Legion on his Tomb Guard. So that unit is far more effective now. And in combat, I end up doing 1 wound to a Tomb Guard, and I put 1 wound on his Hierophant, and he wipes me out, and I end up running off the board. And he reforms as such to face my Griffin and my Knights. And as expected, the White Lions just chop up the rest of those skeletons, and that unit's gone. So High Elves turn 5, I charge his Tomb Guard with my Silver Helms as well as my Griffin. So the plan here is to try to assassinate the Hierophant and hopefully make him crumble, but I think Tomb Guard might have decent leadership, but I'm not sure. And then I get a pretty good magic phase as well to boot. Again, I get Earthblood off and regrow a wound on the Griffin, and I get Wiston's Wildform off on the Griffin, which will help because Strength 6 versus Strength 5 attacks is makes a big difference when you're fighting these guys. And then I also got Ice Shard Blizzard off on the Tomb Guard, so now they're only going to be hitting me on 5s, which is nice. And after combat, yeah, I kill his Hierophant, and I think I wipe out half the unit, and then Thunderstomp kills out a couple more, and yeah, as expected, the rest of the unit just crumbles away. So that's the game. So the after action report. So I had strong magic phases. I was able to get off the buffs when I needed them, which is always nice. My opponent's magic phases were he got super unlucky. I mean, it was just dreadful for him. He got 2 spells off all game, and one of them ended up just destroying half his unit, and the other spell just rectified that unluckiness. I'm really pleased with the way the auxiliary units performed. So, I mean, I have the 5 fast cav in my list because obviously I need to get to min core, and I normally probably take more knights, but I don't own the models, and I'm already using lions as proxies, so I don't want to stretch it even further. But I thought the fast cav did really well. They distracted those Tomb Guard the entire game until I was ready to engage them with my two hammers. And the Eagle, of course, I mean, this Eagle's performed really, really well for me. I think these guys for 50 points are like invaluable. He took one for the team, but it allowed me to get the charges off that I wanted, and it prevented, his chariots from doing any real damage to me. So I think, one of the big reasons I won this game is just my speed. I'm able to pick my fights, and with the auxiliary units control the battlefield a bit, even without shooting, just through movement and harassment. So that, I think that really worked, and I think it really shows up against an army that can't march and is relatively slow. But I enjoyed playing the Tomb Kings, because I think, again, this is the third time I played them, so it was a real treat for me. As far as the Escalation League is concerned, I get another 3 points. No, but this was a special scenario, so if you won this, there was treasure on this hill. So if you won the scenario, you got to roll on a table, and you could add or +1 on this table, and you get a reroll as well. So I ended up getting the Dragon Helm for free, which is perfect because that's, it was like a double one to get it, and I rolled Snake Eyes, and that's the one item that I really wanted because it's +1 armor save for my Lore Master. So now he's going to be rocking a 4-up armor save and a 2-up ward against flaming, and I get that for absolutely free. So my lists going forward will have 1,260 points in it, which is nice. But that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it.